Hey guys, hope you're having a great day. Today's January 4th, and I'm going to talk about a dream I had back in October 4th, so uh, 3 months ago now. Um, I titled it Possible Plane Crash, and I believe it has to do with 5G. Um, and I'll tell you the dream, and we'll see, try and explain it as we go. So I'm in the cockpit, and I'm standing and watching, and I don't know if you know the show, but What We Do in the Shadows, Nandor the Relentless is attempting to prepare to land the plane. Actor's name is Kayvon Novak. And God gave me him as the character in my dream, as the pilot, because God always gives me locations. And this is separate from this, but I will explain it real quick. Kayvon Novak, when you take the repeating letters in his name, spelled Kanak, which is a palindrome, spells Kanak, either way you read it. And the Kanak people are an indigenous Melanesian inhabitants of New Caledonia. And had this dream on October 4th. 5 days later, on 10/9, New Caledonia had a 7 range magnitude earthquake. God always does that with me. But back to the dream, because this is separate from that. So this dream I had multiple meanings to it, but I'm covering the 5G. And so I'm in the cockpit with him, and he's attempting to prepare to land the plane. I don't feel like the feeling of the dream was either him or Laszlo Cravensworth were both the pilots. Laszlo was normally the better pilot, but he was in the belly of the plane for some reason, so I didn't see him in the dream, but I just kind of knew that about it. But Nandor seemed to come to a part where all of a sudden stuff started malfunctioning. He didn't know what he was doing anymore, and you could tell he lost his confidence in his ability to land this plane, and we were going down too fast. I stepped out to look for Laszlo. I stepped out of the cockpit to look for Laszlo, and and we started dropping even faster when I did that. So I immediately went back into the cockpit. Now, I don't know anything about flying or landing a plane, but I do know Nandor in this. It's like he didn't have a clue as to what to do with the controls. He didn't know if he should go up or down. He was lost. It's almost like he was flying blind. I didn't look out the windshield, but I knew we were going down fast, so we were probably going to crash. And Nandor, I think, noticed this at this point too, so he made a quick decision to just try and pull up. So, like, he couldn't tell how close we were to the bottom at all, but he started correcting the controls. And the plane started to correct, but I didn't know if it would correct in time. So I was just standing outside the cockpit, waiting to possibly crash and praying, saying to God, if it's time, it's time. I was scared of impact, but trying not to be, and didn't know for sure if there would be an impact. And I had this feeling as if it might, we were trying to correct, but it might bottom out still. Like we were just going to pull up in time, but still bottom out. Couldn't tell how close we were to the bottom, but that was how the dream ended. So I came across this Forbes article titled 5G rollout could disrupt domestic air travel within weeks. And it's talking about how a crisis beginning January 5th, which is tomorrow, neither policymakers nor public seem to grasp the gravity of the situation. January 5th is the day on which AT&T and Verizon plan to commence operation of 5G cellular services using frequencies approved by the Federal Communications Commission in 2020. However, the federal regulatory agency that oversees airlines has determined that cellular-based stations generating the 5G signals near airports could impair radio altimeters used by pilots to determine how close they are to the ground. A radar altimeter, radio altimeter, electronic altimeter, or reflection altimeter measures altitude above the terrain presently beneath an aircraft or spacecraft by timing how long it takes a beam of radio waves to travel to ground, reflect, and return to the craft. The Federal Aviation Administration issued an airworthiness directive earlier this month requiring that commercial and commuter aircraft cease relying on radio altimeters when operating in the presence of 5G interference. The directive takes effect January 4th, the day before AT&T and Verizon activate their 5G networks, and if nothing changes, domestic air travel could be crippled. Radio altimeters play a critical role enabling the safe operation of aircraft, especially when they are close to the ground, but the ground cannot actually be seen by the pilots. The Airworthiness Directive thus has the potential to disrupt up to 500,000 flights annually, forcing airlines to cancel or divert flights traveling to airports with nearby cellular towers when conditions dictate use of the altimeters. The problem could be minimized by replacing existing altimeters, changing 5G frequencies, or reducing the power output of cellular base stations. But replacing altimeters on thousands of aircraft currently operating within the U.S. airspace would take the better part of a decade. The telecom companies are resisting, saying that the power reductions would impair the functioning of 5G networks to a point where U.S. technology might not be competitive with that used in other countries, most notably China. There doesn't seem to be any way out of this impasse, and people on the telecom side of the debate are often dismissive of the FAA concerns. They say there is adequate separation between 5G and radio altimeter locations on the spectrum to prevent interference. The guy who wrote this, Lauren Thompson, he goes on to state, maybe, but there's a big difference between a dropped phone call and a dropped airplane. So don't be surprised if your next flight to a major city ends up being diverting to avoid 5G disruption of vital flight systems. And there is news out today that Verizon and AT&T extended the delay out for another 2 weeks, but this is a mess, and it's going to take a lot longer than 2 weeks to get this figured out. But anyways, I hope you guys found this informative. I just wanted to share this dream. I felt it important, and God bless. Have a great day.